Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go. All right, we got another episode of the fucking pilot's Lunatic Fringe going off. Once again, I am the fucking pilot. I'm in the can this time, but this time via Skype we got somebody to talk to. So who the fuck are you?
I'm fucking Jarrett Martin. Good to be talking to you, pilot. How are you,
Nice,
man?
fucking Jarrett Martin. All right. It's been quite a while since I seen you, my man. How things?
Things are good, man. A little chilly up here in the Northwest. I'm looking outside and we're getting a hell of a lot of snow right now.
I was gonna say
But
it's not
yeah,
exactly
man,
not been fantastic weather out your way.
not very fantastic, but you know, winters. Winters as a pilot or as a skydiver. You know how it is. It's just kind of it's a little melancholy, but it's just that time of year.
It is what it is, yeah, for sure. Well, now you've got a lot of stuff that you do outside of just jumping as well, so I'm betting that you're doing a shitload of rigging while it's snowing outside, yeah?
Everyone needs their rigs done in the wintertime, so thankfully that's keeping me busy, and hopefully I can get them all wrapped up before the sun pops out.
Nice, nice. Now, for anybody that's listening that doesn't skydive and knows absolutely nothing about what we're talking about, we'll definitely get more into the rigging stuff, but the very basics of it are you fix, sew, and pack parachutes and take care of all of us on the ground so that we don't screw ourselves up in the sky. But we'll definitely talk more about that. First off, I want to know, let's talk about your beginnings in the sport. Obviously, we're talking about skydiving. How did you get started in skydiving? How did it become part of your life?
Yeah, skydiving. Man, third generation skydiver. My father was a skydiver. My father's father was a skydiver. They started, or kind of the family started operating in 1970s, and I started skydiving at a pretty early age. And pretty early on, I just realized that it was going to be my passion, and I think that's going to be kind of where it starts is just the family legacy. I don't know anything else other than skydiving, and it's just kind of one of those things where it's like this beautiful immersion with just a crazy bunch of people doing this crazy thing, and yeah, I'm not going to look back.
Sure. Well, now when you grow up, obviously I didn't grow up in skydiving. I didn't grow up in aviation, so I kind of found my own way there. But it was never unusual to you that your grandpa and your dad jumped out of airplanes. I mean, that was just what it was, right?
That's just what it was. That was the daily occurrence. Quite frankly, it was mostly my dad. My grandfather passed away in a non-skydiving related accident pretty early on, so I didn't really get to spend much time with his legacy. But at the same time, just watching my father grow up, and if you were to ask me when I was a kid what I wanted to be when I was growing up, I was like, I wanted to be a sky surfer. You can imagine the mid '90s.
Yes, I can. I was a cameraman for a sky surf team back then.
Hell yeah, man. Let's bring it back, right?
Well, so you were one of these kids that played packing weight when you were young and just kind of grew into it.
I just grew into it, man. I was packing parachutes when I was like 10, 11 years old. I actually started static line when I was 14 years old, so I got the early jump. I had 1,000 jumps before I was 16, and yeah, it's been an incredible ride, man.
Your father, how did he get started in the sport? Obviously, your grandfather did, but I'm guessing Grandpa was military.
Well, no, he man, a history lesson. The old TV show Ripcord. It was like with yeah, those guys. I think he was just watching that, and he's like, that sounds like a hell of a good idea. And then that's when Grandpa started the drop zone right here in the Northwest, and yeah, it was just, I think my dad started when he was 17, and just being exposed to it just like I was. You just do it. You do what your parents do.
Sure. Well, for non-jumpers out there, the idea of growing up as a baseball player or a golfer or a swimmer seems like a normal thing, but to grow up jumping out of airplanes as just a normal thing is pretty bananas. Really, I mean, the Jane Doe out there or John Doe certainly doesn't think that way. What did your friends think? I mean, did you grow up around a bunch of skydiver friends? Did you have friends your own age, or were you one of the kids that was hanging around with all the cool jumpers that were, 20 years older than you?
Man, and what's funny about that is I think about that all the time. Like, I mean, going through school, like I definitely had my childhood friends, and I definitely, going through school, I had all my friends that were my age. But I mean, after school, like, when I finished high school at 18, and like when I left high school, that I mean, like hanging out with people my own age definitely went away for a few years until basically like the majority of age came to me in skydiving. Like, so in the sense of like, I'm 18 when I graduate high school. There's not very many 18-year-old skydivers that had the experience in skydiving that I did. So I'm basically hanging out with people, at least a decade older than me. And so it's not only until like right about now, I'm 28 now, and finally there's the age of skydivers has caught up with me. So now I'm finally hanging out with people my own age. So I think it's great. It's kind of like this whole timeline of age and experience, and it's finally nice to be able to to have a legitimate conversation, because I feel like just a couple years ago, I don't know, I couldn't hold a conversation, but now I'm interacting with people my own age, and it's great. It's been growing up with skydivers has been probably the best thing for me. And we'll talk a little bit about the biggest event in my life, where being around mature and awesome, amazing people really helped me kind of progress into who I am today.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you're put in a situation where you're growing up and being influenced by people that are aptly just going out and going big, and by all normal standards are kind of on the outside looking, looking not back in, but just looking forward at all this crazy stuff they do, and they've got a unique perspective on the world, and that's got to rub off on a kid pretty quickly. You're going to get a pretty worldly view, especially considering skydiving is filled with people from all over the world. So you must have had influences from every corner of the earth as you were growing up.
Every influence of the earth for sure. I didn't get really immersed abroad until probably 2014, 2000, through 2017. I was working overseas in Dubai. That was a really nice experience. But I'm from a small town, in Washington State. But I think a skydiver in Washington and a skydiver in New Zealand and a skydiver in the Middle East, we have this perspective on life that really made it nice growing up, and, kind of entering this transition of, being an actual adult as opposed to being like what I would call like a 23-year-old adult.
Sure.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll definitely get experience along the way. But I mean, just growing up, like I said, from 0 to, 23 years old, it was a very rewarding experience to be able to, be raised by essentially, the community.
Sure.
And I mean,
well, it was
been, and I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but at sometimes it's like, I have no idea what life is like outside of this whole circus.
Yeah, you kind of don't really understand what the real world is like, because, I mean, I hate to say it, but our world is not the real world. It's a better version of it, if you ask me. I was just having a conversation with Cornelia Mihai, who was saying that when she left home, she'd never been outside of Romania, and she took off to take a job at a drop zone without knowing anybody. And as she's on her way through a 48-hour bus trip to get there, her only thought is, they're going to be skydivers. It's going to be cool. And of course she got there, and it was exactly that. And it turns out that skydivers, no matter where they're from, are just skydivers with different accents, and it's a pretty cool experience. So you ended.
I couldn't have said it better.
But going pretty big in the sport. I mean, you were putting up these kind of jump numbers and just going full bore. Were you working in the sport, or you were just playing?
I mean, I've been working in the sport, forever. I mean, as soon as I was able to pack a parachute, I was working. You started packing main parachutes at the drop zone, probably about 11 or 12 years old. I started packing reserve parachutes under my father's FAA rigging license supervision at 12 years old. And I mean, other than a couple breaks, I went to university for aviation. I went to university for air traffic control. But all that while that I was doing that, I mean, I was still trying to make a living in skydiving. And it's been it's just skydiving is just kind of a constant hustle, and you're just trying to make it so where you can still skydive. I don't that's it, man. And it's cool. It's been a wild ride. I went from packing parachutes to videographer as early as I could. I mean, it was pretty funny, man. I'm 15 years old and I'm videoing people on the first time doing their tandem, and it's just kind of funny, like looking at their facial expressions, being like they're super nervous to go on their first skydive, but there's almost some kind of uncanny calmness to like the fact that if a 15-year-old kid is videoing me, then I'll probably be all right.
Sure,
And
sure.
just
Well,
have this interaction with the passengers, being being at the stage of my life where I was and stuff like that. I thought it was great.
oh
And
yeah. Well, I can only imagine if I went out to make my first tandem and this skinny punk little 15-year-old kid walks over and sticks a camera in my face. It's pretty
that's
cool.
it, man. That's totally it. It's so funny too because it's like, I don't know, I had a little speech impediment when I was a kid too. Doing these interviews, I'm sure they're, playing it at home and they're like, who the hell is your video guy?
That's
And
great.
it's like this little 15-year-old jerk off. And it's like, how funny is that,
Well, that's
man?
fucking great, though. I mean, if you think about it, that's on a whole nother scale. That's epic.
Right. And I mean, and just going up even further, right? Like, I was 18 years old. I was an AFF instructor and tandem instructor. And it's just like, who the hell is my instructor? This guy, and it's like lip ring, skinny jeans. And it's just like, man, at the time.
Yeah, man. I actually just went over a bunch of old photographs I had and saw a picture of me sitting in the plane before I was quite working in the sport. I think I couldn't have been, but 26 or 27, and I look like a little fucking punk then. So I can't imagine if an 18-year-old comes up and he's my tandem instructor, I'm gonna be looking over my shoulder to go, can I? Where's the joke? Can I have my real instructor?
Yeah. I mean, I did. I had one. I remember having one person who was like not sure about it, but like sure enough that like we kind of went through the whole process of like having me gear her up and like getting in the airplane. But I could tell the whole time not she was just not super thrilled with it. And she's like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go. And I'm like, hey, you'll be fine. I got thousands of jumps, but you can imagine the picture of, like I said, an 18-year-old pimply faced kid you know, not super experienced with, being a tandem instructor at that point. Like I said, I was still 18 years old and I was fresh, and just trying to like coerce her, like, hey, you're gonna be fine. And the door comes open and she's like, hell no. I'm not.
Well, and too, at 18 years old, I mean, I look back at just myself at 18 years old. I didn't have the people skills that it would take to take a non-jumper and instill in them the confidence that they need to jump out of an airplane. That's a skill that takes some time. So the fact that anybody was jumping with you says a lot about how well you were doing, because damn.
Yeah, it was great, man. I probably did, 100 or 200 tandem jumps, that year. I eventually went to Hawaii, and Hawaii is kind of a big time commercial drop zone. So we were cranking them out, and it was cool to be in Hawaii at 18 years old, just graduated high school. Like, man, that was like the prime. Like I was,
That's living
man,
the life, man. That's
exactly,
seriously. That's going big. Well, so you end up working in the sport. Obviously, it's a family legacy for you, and you're banging them out super young, and you're working in the sport as well. Were you taking it other directions as well? Were you doing other stuff? Were you did you get into the base jumping stuff? Did you get into rock climbing or anything like that, or was it all just I'm working in the sport now?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty diverse. I really, I mean, to play it back, I mean, skydiving was always in the background. But I mean, if you were to ask me, like when I was like just starting skydiving, it would basically be a story about how I'm just doing this to like pay for flight hours. Like I wanted to be a pilot, man. Like I'm all about, flying fighter jets and wanted to get in the military and be that guy. And I got my pilot's license when I was 17, and I was really trying to focus on that in conjunction with working as a skydiver. But at some point, I think it was like I think it might have been when I started base jumping. I started base jumping when I was 16, and I was like, man, I like base jumping, and I know they're not going to let me go to flight school flying F-16s and do this crazy gnarly base jumping. I kind of got to make a decision. And man, looking back on it right now, it's like that was it, man. That's what messed me up right there.
That was the moment, huh?
That was the moment where I was like, all right, cool, let's just keep on base jumping. And
Sure. See, I had that moment as well, but when I would have decided to make that first base jump was also right around the same time I found out I was going to be a dad. So that for me became a no-go, and it's pretty much stayed a no-go now. Now I'm just too old and scared of that shit. So no base
Hey,
jumping
man,
for me.
we could find an object. I tell you, we get you up there, Dean.
See, that's the thing is I know lots of people that would be happy to take me up for my first one. Fuck that. I'll leave that to you guys. No, I am happy to not have the biggest balls in the room. I am just fine with that. So
Yeah, I feel that.
you started jumping, you started base jumping. Where was your very first base jump?
Very first base jump, Twin Falls, Idaho, with Miles Dasher. I uh, I can't believe it. I just saw him the other day, and we just kind of reflected back on like, I was talking to my girlfriend. I'm like, this is the guy. This is the guy who got me all started, and I was grateful for that. He taught me, probably when not a lot of people would. I mean, I had the experience, I had everything, but I mean, there's a maturity level that you have to have when you get into base jumping, and I was definitely, pushing it at the age that I was, being 16 and all. But yeah, man, I mean, started base jumping then, and really even now, haven't looked back. It's been a while. I did my 500th base jump back in 2017, and slowed down considerably since then. But it's always there. It's kind of always in the back of the repertoire of tricks that I can do. But I mean, as far as like asking me about like kind of what I do on a broad spectrum of things at that time, like it was skydiving, it was base jumping, it was flying airplanes, skiing, being in the Northwest. I mean, I had a lot of different activities at that age, but to funnel it all through to skydiving, that was the main gig. I always considered myself a skydiver above all else.
Sure. Well, and that seems to be the case with pretty much everybody I've talked to. They've got side sports that they do, but skydiving and base jumping are usually that's the prime for everybody that I've talked to. Now, I got to ask, what did Dad and everybody think of you starting base jumping? Because does Dad base jump?
Dad has since base jumped, but yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't imagine being my dad having, he kind of gets himself into this own situation with who he is as a skydiver, but to think about like taking it to the next level of, all right, now my kid's a base jumper, now, and being a teenager and being kind of like anti-authoritarian. My dad's like, hey, you can't go base jumping like this all the time. It's dangerous, you're gonna hurt yourself. And I'm like, kind of like, don't tell me what to do. I'm my own man. I'm 16, I'm 17 at this point or whatever like that. I'm sneaking off and I'm base jumping. Oh man, I you can imagine. Yeah, you can see the lead up. You can see the lead up of like, if you know who I am now, you're like, of course, your life was going to pan out the way that it was, because it was just, I mean, it was all risk. I'm thinking I'm invincible. The reward was amazing for the few years that it lasted, but you know, I mean, you can imagine, we can start talking about how it really got me in some deep trouble with, my paralyzed accident.
Sure. Yeah. I
I
mean, you went big for quite a while, and I was kind of segueing into that with your dad, and I had a friend that you actually might know, Charlie Karlinkus, who base jumps all over the place, and I actually taught his dad how to skydive, and his dad started skydiving as an attempt to get closer to his son, and they, would do that kind of stuff together. But I always wondered what it would be like as a parent of a kid that took it that much further. And for you and for your dad, eventually your pushing it led to like both of your worst nightmares at the time. I mean, it was a life-changing experience for you. So how did all of that come about?
Yeah, so 2009, just I was in Hawaii, living the good life. I just crushing it, man. I mean, it was like skydive every day, then we'd go, scuba dive, then we'd go into Honolulu, we'd go base jumping, we'd go up to the mountains, we'd go speed flying, and I'm like, man, I am just doing action adventure sport after action adventure sport, but just not realizing that, you know, I'm just a kid, and I mean, I really don't have the experience to be loading myself up with all this stuff at the rate that I was doing, and I was just, I was just frothing to like just kind of pushing it to the next level, and the stunt or the activity that eventually got me was, ironically enough, like it was a rigging accident. I was had this idea to go speed flying with my base rig.
And for those that
You
don't
know,
know, tell us what speed flying is.
okay, so speed flying, back then it was called ground launching, but speed flying nowadays, or the sport of speed flying, is basically taking a small skydiving wing type parachute, a small skydiving paraglider, or small paraglider, if you will, just a high speed glider, and instead of jumping it out of an airplane or off of a bridge or a building or something like that, like base jumping or skydiving, speed flying is a more alpine activity where you climb up a mountain with skis or with your hiking boots, and then you're just going to run down the mountain. Your parachute is going to inflate with air, and then you're going to continue to fly away from the terrain and basically stay relatively close to the terrain the whole entire flight. But it's just this kind of bridge between skydiving and base jumping and paragliding, if you will. But it was, at the time, it was a pretty new idea that you would take these skydiving wings and you would just run down the mountain. And so yeah, I mean, it's just this crazy new sport, and we were pushing it. We were kind of the first ones in Hawaii to do it. And yeah, I mean, that day was crazy. I was just like, let's just take it one step further. I'm going to take my wing and I'm going to just fly down the mountain. I had it rigged up so where I was going to cut away that wing, go back into free fall for a while, and then open up a base parachute. And I mean, that stunt for anybody would be quite the project. But for the kid, with a couple thousand jumps at the time, a couple hundred base jumps at the time, it takes a lot, not only in the physical skill of doing the stunt, but to rig up the harness, to rig up the equipment. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of know-how. And yeah, no, that day I just was beside myself, and I didn't rig up my equipment right. You'd have to see the contraption that I made, but basically, the 3-ring system that I used to release myself, from the parachute, it's a simple contraption when you're learning how to skydive, but when you're manipulating it in such that I was to make this project happen, it could be very complex. And when I rigged it up, I forgot a key component, and the key component was the housings in which your cutaway cables, your release cables, slide through. I left them absent, and I didn't have any housings to lock down those cables. And so when I launched off the mountain, my right set of 3 rings prematurely released when I was only like 100 or 200 feet off the ground. And you can imagine that you need the integrity of both risers attached to your harness to maintain the airfoil of the wing. And I was flying a Chaos 88. You remember the old Chaoses?
Sure. It's been a small canopy to boot.
Yeah, so a Chaos 88. It's a small canopy. That's right. And I mean, one of the risers came disconnected, and I had nothing.
Your wing
to do
just
with
folded
it.
up.
Half the wing was folded up. I mean, it's interesting to see. We have video of it, and it's interesting to see though the rotation speed, but also the descent rate. It's kind of this weird. Even under an 88 square foot parachute, the descent rate was that of like half. It was a weird. You would expect it to be faster than it was, but if it was faster than it was, then I would have had enough airspeed to deploy the base parachute that I had. But it wasn't. Like, I mean, at some point, my riser releases and I'm spinning, and I'm like, oh man, I'm in a horrible situation. I have only seconds to react. I got to get more material over my head. So I threw out the base parachute anyways, not having enough time to release the other riser. But the airflow, the airspeed that I was going, I did not have enough airflow to get that base parachute inflated. And so it's like, I remember, throwing out the pilot chute, it popping the pins, and then the weight of the parachute falling.
Oh man.
It's not. It was going the opposite direction that I wanted.
And your heart fell right along with the parachute.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, I can recall like just that. Oh man, I got a PLF, the best PLF I could, and
And what kind of
man,
terrain were you over? I mean, you just jumped off a mountain basically. So
you can imagine mountain in Hawaii. It's just the most gnarly terrain ever. It's
lava. It's rock, isn't it?
lava, volcanic rock, and
Fuck.
tree stumps, and I mean, so anyways, yeah, I mean, I impact the Mountain Doom essentially at whatever rate I was, and immediately unconscious. I take another, I start tomahawking down the hill or whatever like that, and I just never, up until that point, I'd never gotten injured. I'd never broken a bone. I didn't know what it was like to be in such severe pain.
Sure.
And when I come to, there's some hikers, there's some mountain climbers that just happened to get to me. They saw previously my friends fly successfully down the mountain, so they're intrigued by that. But then when I was last to leave the mountain, uh, they see, what could happen. That's, you know,
Sure.
when the plan doesn't go well, essentially. And so that caught their attention. They went over to me, hey man, what was, oh God, how can we help you? And I'm like, oh, and I kind of come to and not realizing the extent of my injuries. I'm like, oh man, that was crazy. I'm in a lot of pain, but like I'm sure my friends are worried about me. Can you just help me on my feet? I need to start hiking down. My friends are down there. And they're like, bro, you're not going anywhere, And man, I was at that point I was a paraplegic. My spinal cord was severed. I laid there on the mountain in Hawaii, and I was like, oh, I'm fucked.
I mean, wow. How do you? That would be almost impossible for anybody to process, but especially for a kid that that morning was just going big in all aspects, and at that age you just don't have the fear. There's no consequence. Those consequences are so far in the back of your mind that, especially if you've never injured yourself, I mean, what a fucking reality check to be sitting on the side of a mountain there. Obviously they got you off the mountain and you ended up in the hospital, but when did you get the diagnosis? When did you have to face the fact that you were now a paraplegic?
Yeah, so I mean, fast forward like 3 weeks later, I kind of come to, everyone's there, friends and family. A lot of the drop zone support was there. You can imagine the skydiving community at this point. And I don't know what kind of picture I'm painting for myself, but I mean, while look back and I think I was a punk kid, I mean, I still had a great community of friends and people. You know, I mean, it sounds pretentious or whatever to say that I was well liked, but I mean, I'd made friends and they had all gathered around me because the inevitable declaration of my injuries was about to be presented to me, and they're like, hey man, you just had a crazy accident. I don't know if you remember it. And I'm like, I do remember it. I mean, but the extent of my injuries were traumatic brain injury. For the first little bit, I thought I was just going to be, mentally disabled. I couldn't vocalize well. I couldn't. I mean, you know,
It had to be just mind.
politically correct. I thought I was, yeah, I just thought I was going to be, mentally retarded kind of thing. Apologies, for that use of word, but I mean, that was basically going through my head. I thought I was going to be mentally disabled.
Sure.
They also told me that the big thing that they had to do to save my life was repair my aortic vessel, or
Sure.
basically the main line that pumps blood from your heart to your body had become ruptured.
Wow.
And I remember the doctor telling me about the procedure. He's like, man, you ruptured your aorta and you're on the mountain for like 3 hours before you got in the hospital. And I mean, I would have bet he's like, I would have bet a year's salary that you'd have been dead by the time you got into the hospital. And this is Queens Medical Center, like an hour and a half away from the accident site. So it was just like this tremendous like ordeal to repair the aorta, and he's like, the operation is a coin toss, regardless of what I previously said about being bleeding out for hours before you got here. So he's like, I can't put it into words how incredibly lucky you are that I'm talking to you. Like, I mean,
I tell you what, it always confounds me, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but and completely unrelated, I had a motorcycle accident years ago, and the doctor, who I assume was trying to make me feel better, did so by telling me that I should be dead, but I should be really happy because I'm not. Being told you should be dead is not a comforting thing to hear. In retrospect, it probably caused years of PTSD for me. So how was it for you? Because, I mean, fuck, I just survived a motorcycle accident. But this was legitimately, that was the case. And I don't know that having a doctor tell me you should be dead are comforting words.
yeah, I mean, well, it was probably super discomforting, but I mean, it was kind of overshadowed by like this whole idea of like, all right, cool, you're alive now, but you're going to be rocking the wheelchair for probably the rest of your life. And that was the motherfucker right there.
And this is at 18?
This is at 18 years old, man.
At 18 years old, and especially to go from as big as you were going to this new realization. I mean, talk about a fucking challenge, mental challenge, physical challenge. I mean, how the hell did you step up to that one?
Yeah, dude, I don't even fucking know.
I like the honesty, man.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you would have had a hell of a support system between your family and your skydiving family and all your friends and everything. But at the end of the day, that was up to you to pick yourself up, so to speak, and keep going forward. I mean, wow. What came first? What was the motivation? What got you to say, fuck this, I'm not giving in?
I don't even know if it was really one thing. I mean, like you said, it was just kind of devastating. To say that I wasn't even really at my prime, like, I mean, the timeline of life was real for me at that age. I could almost like, if I could set up my life of being like, all right, cool, I'm 18, I'm doing this. At 24, I'll be doing this. At 34, I'll be doing this. Like, I kind of, I had a good overall view of how I wanted my life to play out. And then it's like at 18 years old, it's like, oof, no, we're going to do a complete fucking U-turn because half your body doesn't work. And I'm like, just completely fucking crushed I mean, it was really the community, man. I mean, to all those, I couldn't be in there's no situation I'd rather be in with the community the community picked me up for sure.
Well,
To think that it was
take care
me,
of their own.
and that's it, man. And to think it was me, I mean, I had no opportunity to be depressed or to be sad. It was like, I mean,
Well, now,
man, like within 3 months, I'll just tell you, within 3 months, like my dad is like, all right, let's fucking get this tandem harness on you. Like, we're gonna get you on a tandem going right now.
wow.
Like, I mean, to think that people have less lasting injuries but take longer to get back in the air. Like, you're talking within less than a reserve repack cycle, I was
back in the air.
Back in the air.
Wow.
And
I'll tell you what.
within 3 months, I was, I skydived with my dad, and then like 6 months, I was wearing my own parachute.
So you went from the junior badass doing all the craziest over the top shit to really borderline dead to waking up basically being told you're a paraplegic, you're probably never going to walk again, to 3 months later being back in the air, and 6 months later jumping basically on your own again. That's
I mean,
fucking hell, man.
So crazy. Actually, I remembered, and I put this in there because the moment you asked me what the moment was, at one point, like, I'm sifting through letters, the get well soon, you're gonna be fine, we got you if you need anything, you can imagine the letters that get sent to, and it's like there's a couple things. I think the big one was, at the time there's only a couple paraplegic parachute jumpers, and one of them was Lonnie from Canada. Lonnie is, if you've ever seen a picture of a wheelchair base jumper, it's probably him, because he got injured in a parachute jump about a couple years before I did. but he had wrote to me, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm Lonnie. I got into a accident such as yours, and I still base jump, and I just and the words that he said to me still resonate.
Sure.
And he says, you can do, even in a wheelchair, you can do anything that you want to do.
Sure.
You can do it, but you just have to do it a little bit differently. And it was vague, but it was very impactful. You know, it impacted my life incredibly. And like the next letter that I opened up, it was from Steve and Sarah Curtis. And they're from Skydive Arizona, and they're like really, you know, world-renowned skydivers, and they had taken the time to write me a letter, and in the letter, you know, they say, "Get well soon. Here's a jump ticket."
Awesome.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, and I used, you know, and I mean, you know, within a year, I think I used that jump ticket.
Oh,
it was
that's
incredible.
epic.
You know, I mean, it was like, it was those combination of letters, you know, those, you know, and that's the community. That's
Sure.
Those are the type of people, you know, like those are like, you know, those should be like scholars.
Sure.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And they're right here. They're our friends. You know, we see them, you know, and it's just, I mean, those two people specifically, but I mean, it was probably hundreds of people, you know, over the course of the years, and even through now. It's just, you know, I mean,
Absolutely.
to say that I didn't get depressed would be, you know, would be inaccurate, because there was times that you could just imagine where I just was like, fuck, man,
I
what
can't
did I
even
do to
imagine.
myself?
I can't. I don't know how, because I know myself at that age. There, I would have never. At least, I don't think I would have been equipped on any level to handle that kind of stuff, and especially to rebound and to do everything that you've done since. I don't think your and my paths had not crossed, and I had seen a photo of you on a friend's Facebook page that was the most astounding series of photos that I'd ever seen. The first time I saw a picture was you doing a base jump with a mutual friend of ours by the name of Ellis, and you had just left a cliff on a base jump, and he was holding you in his arms. Now, as a skydiver and not a base jumper, I saw that picture and I thought it was just a couple of base jumpers goofing around. You know, you see that kind of stuff all the time. But then I saw the most ridiculous picture of you, and it's a picture of you having just exited the side of a cliff, but your wheelchair's still sitting on the fucking cliff. Holy shit, man, that picture just sent shivers down my spine when I saw that picture. It was the most incredible image I'd ever seen. And then I remember meeting you after the fact and not knowing it was you at first, and then going, oh shit, it's him, holy shit. And it was an instant ridiculous level of respect just because of that one image, and all I could do was paint what I thought that picture was. And then of course I found out what the real story was and was even more impressed. I mean, wow.
Man, that was Norway 2014. That event changed my life. I mean, as impactful as that photo was to you, that whole trip experience was to me. I mean, it really it kind of kicked my life timeline just a little bit, you know, in the ass, and it's like, all right, cool, you are still doing it.
Oh man.
And to think about, you know, I've had a couple peaks in my timeline. If you think about life as a stock market, you know, it kind of goes ups and downs in little ways and stuff like that. And, you know, there's obviously a dipping point for the low.
Sure.
But I mean, at that point, when those pictures were taken, probably right at that exact point, you're looking at it and you're like, wow, this picture's incredible. And, you know, from my eyes looking back at the camera guy at that point, I'm like, oh my God, my life is absolutely incredible.
Absolutely.
Because there I was, you know, like, I mean, you could, you know, like, you know, in that short 10 seconds of free fall before you have to open your parachute, like, I'm recollecting, like, oh man, like, just a few years ago, I was laying in a hospital bed thinking that I would never be able to do the things that I'd want to do.
Sure.
But here I am. I'm doing exactly the things that I want to do. I'm just doing it a little bit differently.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I'm having Ellis having to, you know, be my legs and carry me off the mountain in that extraordinary photo that Max Aim took. And later on, we do the impossible where I actually sit on the edge of the cliff and I push myself off. Holy shit.
Right.
I mean, I'll never do that again. But
all right.
Yeah, that whole entire week, man, was just filled with that kind of stuff, man. I mean, you know, legends in the sport just kind of pushing me along. I mean, it was actually miraculous that I didn't get into another accident.
Sure.
It was just much ego and so much like
Right.
passion and like just totally beside ourselves
Sure.
as far as what was possible. But at the end of the day, we'd finish the day like, man, you guys know I'm in a wheelchair, right?
But I'll tell you what, that's kind of one of the amazing things about, and maybe it's not just skydivers, and I've said this on previous podcasts. I don't know other extreme sports athletes very well, but I have to imagine they have the same basic mentality. It's okay, yeah, fuck, that happened, sure. Let's go. Let's keep going. Let's push farther and go more and go harder. And obviously, your case is in the extreme. To be launching yourself out of your wheelchair and off a cliff it's beyond imagination for most people, and even for me, who has been in this sport for 23 some odd years. Now, what does Dad think about this? I mean, I can't imagine. Obviously, he got you back in the sky, but how does he feel about being back in the base jumping?
Yeah, I mean, you really have to ask him. I mean, it's crazy to think that he handles it well. I mean, I think his aspect is like, I mean, you got to do what makes people happy, um, and I mean, man, it makes me happy.
Sure.
I love skydiving. I love base jumping. I hate how I love pushing it because I still push it, and that constant danger is there. But I don't know. I get this. I grow from every single skydive, every single base jump that I do. I mean, I just feel like
Absolutely.
life just gets a little bit better with each and every base jump, and I just continue to do it. And I think my dad and like the people who really don't want to see anything bad happen to me, I think they just like, man, nobody is living more than
Then
more
you.
than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
And it's almost like, I mean, I don't think my dad's jealous, but I mean, at the same time, I think people look at, look at my life in that moment like you did when I'm in a skydive or on a base jump, and like, man, I wish I had that kind
Oh,
of
absolutely. Well, I mean,
love
even
in life, because it's no more than, I mean, there's nothing more than that.
no, no. Well, even in I was lucky enough to fly you quite a bit when we were working together, and you were jumping and I was flying, and of course we did the project where we had you rolling out of the back of the tailgate aircraft, and we had to rig everything up and do all this, and I was talking to a non-skydiver friend and telling them about this super cool project that I was doing with you, and then I filled them in on the fact that it involved a wheelchair and everything, and they seemed a bit shocked. And this was a non-jumper, didn't understand that way of thinking anyway, and I couldn't understand how they couldn't understand him. Well, yeah, he's in a wheelchair, but we're just going to roll him out of the back of the plane. It's going to be it's going to be fine. As a skydiver, seeing you out there jumping, and you not thinking anything of, yeah, I got to get to the plane. Here, guys, lift me up. Let's go. It's not an issue whatsoever. It never even crossed my mind that, oh, yeah, he's in a wheelchair. No, you're just a jumper having to do things slightly differently. And I always thought that was just the coolest thing. It was one of the funnest projects that I'd ever done, sitting and interviewing and talking about how the fact that we were going to pitch the plane up and you're going to roll out of the back of this aircraft and tie everything together and do it also to show people that we're in a wheelchair that you are not bound by that chair. And it was just the coolest thing ever. I mean, not to the level of that photo to me, but still super, super cool. And you've been able to do quite a few things like that, but you've also started up your own business and taken things further on the ground as well as in the air. I mean, you started up a rigging business, didn't you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a crazy ride. I mean, from that, I mean, that project that we did, I mean, just to talk about it for a second, where we did
The
what do we
really
call
cool
it?
jump. If you're looking
The
it up on
really cool, it was the really cool exit. The
really
really
cool
cool
exit,
exit.
that's
Yeah,
it. That's it.
the Sherpa, man. I love that plane, and I remember when I got that plane, it was incredible. We were all super stoked about it. But more importantly, I'm like, as soon as we found out that we were getting it, like, we're throwing the wheelchair out the back of that thing, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like, I mean, I thought that was great. And I mean, and it seemed like the whole world at that time, was super receptive to like, yeah, let's see how far we can push this whole wheelchair skydiver thing. And yeah, the
Sure.
fact that we organized that jump, and I mean, that again, like, that's just what I'm all about. I'm just looking for that next high, if you will, of like, let's just have fun, man. I mean, life's too short to be, stressed about shit. And I mean, we have these toys in front of us. Let's play with them, kind of
Sure.
thing.
And that was the coolest thing
And
about that project is it was you were having fun, but everybody that was involved in that project was having just as much fun. I'm sitting in the pilot seat of that plane just absolutely stoked out of my mind trying to see in the mirror as you guys exit because it was so fun. It was so cool.
well, I remember telling you, I remember because the idea was for you to pitch it up,
Yep.
but I remember it was just so uncontrollable. I'm like, I don't think you have to pitch it up. I think I don't know the dynamics of the physics of how that worked, but I just remember you being like, not pitching it up,
Right.
but being rocketed out of the back of that Sherpa. And I mean, it was just, we had all the straps and the bungees, and there's people trying to chase us out, and they're running into the wheelchair. It was chaos. But I mean, it was, I mean, it got done flawlessly in the sense of like, the shot was made, and the whole idea of like, the freedom from the wheelchair
Sure.
and being able to skydive, and the confines of being in the wheelchair, but now you're out in free fall.
Sure.
I mean, and the beautiful desert and the beautiful airplane. I mean, it was just, that was like, that was a perfect orchestra of like,
Oh, yeah.
amazingness.
And I know
And
that.
we had, well,
I know that jump and not just that jump in particular, but a lot of the stuff that you've done since has been very much to try and demonstrate to people that are in similar situations as you that the restrictions are only as far as your mind holds them. You can find a way to do it if you really want to. And I know that's a huge theme for you.
yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, yeah, it's interesting to think because it's like I first get hurt, and that's the last thing I want to be is to be to be demonstrating this awful thing that's happened to myself. But I kind of got in the flow of like, hey, this is important for some people to see.
Sure.
Just like how Lonnie told me that everything's going to be all right, man. You just have to keep on living.
Sure.
That's now, I mean, if I have a higher purpose other than just, doing my life, it's to show people who are in tough situations that the human is resilient.
Sure.
I mean, if you can pull legs off of a spider and it'll still crawl across the ground, you can do the same thing for a human.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're resilient people, man. And I mean, we'll just keep going.
There may be some guy or some. Go ahead.
I said, and that's my thing, is just to show people that you can keep going.
Well, and there may be some guy or some girl sitting in a wheelchair right now that's never jumped out of an airplane, but they've got some goal in mind that they think is a bit out of reach, and you're living proof that that's not true.
Exactly, and and I mean, just the idea that being alive is better than being dead, and I mean, I'm grateful. Like, it's almost like, if something in life was telling me, to slow down, I was just charging hard, and it's almost like, I'm not spiritual, I'm not religious, but I mean, if I were to take it down that path, it's almost like something was telling me like, hey, we're gonna take your life on a path you're not gonna like, but it's going to be better for you, and it's going to be better for the world. It's going to be better for you in the sense that, if it's like the wingsuit base jumping is about ready to take off. This is 2009 when I get hurt. 2010, was the start of the, wingsuit proximity flying phenomenon. And
Sure.
Had I been able-bodied when that whole,
I can imagine.
I mean, I would be, I'm sure that I wouldn't be alive today. I would have just pushed myself. And I mean, we have mutual friends that have passed away in the wingsuit base jumping game. And
Sure.
It's horrifying. And I mean, they've lived their life the way that they have. And I mean, had I had that opportunity, I would not have had the patience or
You would have gone for
control. I would have just went for it.
Yeah, you would have gone for it.
And now it's like this whole new life of like, all right, cool, you're in the wheelchair. Let's show people that, you can have devastating things and still flourish.
Sure.
And yeah, just to keep on going with it. It's like, I mean, I get, I spend a lot of time basically promoting that idea, when I was in Dubai for 3 years, and, that was essentially my job. I was grateful to have that opportunity to have the resource to be able to do that, to show people the you know, the fact that I could flourish, with
Sure.
still being in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And now I'm just kind of transitioning into maybe not being as much of a demonstrator full
Sure.
time with that kind of stuff.
Well, now
Can you imagine? Like, I mean,
you started up a rigging business for base jumping. Is that correct? Or you
um,
started working on a
uh,
project anyway?
so yeah, so the rigging business that I have now, I have access to my own TSO.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So what's
let's
a
transition
TSO?
into what
What's
I'm
a
doing
TSO?
now. I'm a TSO. I got the TSO in 2018.
And a TSO is what is that? That's from.
Oh, TSO, Technical Standard Order. You need a TSO to be able to produce aviation products.
So this is from the FAA.
This is from the FAA. The Federal Aviation Administration allows me to certify parachute equipment. So yeah, it's cool, man. It's my new project. Like I said, I'm being less of a in-your-face demonstrator with my wheelchair. Like, I mean, I would say like when I was, just a couple years ago, like it was my gig to like get on, news outlets and show people, hey, I'm in a wheelchair, I'm skydiving, you know, which, I think was a positive, for a lot of people who
Sure.
needed to see stuff like that. But I've kind of tamed back on that, and I'm kind of, not to say I'm a little bit more selfish, but I've started my own business, and I'm just trying to, you know, I'm kind of closeted wheelchair skydiver now and more outgoing parachute rigger.
Cool.
And yeah, it's been great, man. I mean, I've been rigging for so long, and getting this TSO was basically in the timeline. And yeah, I'm basically coordinating with the FAA so that I can be allowed to manufacture certified parachuting equipment. And my main thing is pilot rigs. Single parachute harness container systems.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, you're a pilot. You've worn parachutes.
I have.
We should get together. We
Absolutely,
should get
because
together and
all the bailout
and
rigs that I've ever worn suck.
you got to try out one of mine, man. They're rad. They're comfortable. It's the 21st century pilot rig, man. I mean, pilot rigs have been basically unchanged for all these years, and I mean, mine's not drastically a new idea, but I mean, incorporating new things, lightweight materials,
Awesome.
comfort pads in the right places. I mean, you're an experienced skydiver. We'd put a ram air parachute in there for you just in
Sure.
case you had to bail out, so you're not, you know, descending down into
I wouldn't know
into
what to do under a round parachute. It'd probably scare me more than having to bail out.
man. There's only one thing you do. That's PLF, man.
But I always used to tell my passengers, my ride-alongs would get in and they'd wear the bailout rigs with the round parachutes, and they'd ask how am I supposed to land this? And I'd always say, well, you know how the drunk always survives the car wreck? Yeah, I'm like, just close your eyes and go limp.
Yep, that's a good strategy. I should write that in my instruction
Yeah,
manual.
man, just close your eyes and go limp, because yeah, no, it's not gonna go good if you try and do anything with this parachute. Luckily, I've never had anybody bail out on me.
Right.
Luckily, but it's well, especially too as sport aviation picks up and all these light aircraft are coming into play. Getting into pilot rigs is a pretty damn good idea.
I mean, I think it's. I think it has its niche. Like the pilot rig manufacturers that have been around now. It's been stagnant as far as ingenuity and development for the last couple decades. And I'm like, here I am. I'm I got the time. I got the resources with the TSO, and I'm gonna try it out. I think my plan B would be for base rigs, and eventually skydiving rigs if I get the engineering down. But I'm having a lot of fun with building pilot rigs. I'm testing them myself. It's pretty wild, man. I mean, I went to PIA. I went to PIA last week, and it's like there's a lot of people being like, "What the hell is this?" And it's like a guy in a wheelchair selling pilot rigs that he's built, and he's
That's
it's just
awesome.
it's kind of a weird picture, but it's like, yeah, that's my new thing, man. And I mean, I taught myself how to sew. I have a whole bunch of sewing machines where I'm just having fun. I'm cutting materials. I'm geeking out, and it's fun. At the start, I'm looking out at the window here, and it's winter and it's snowing. It's a perfect wintertime activity.
Right. Yeah,
I
you
love
guys are.
it.
It's cold as fuck back there, man. I just saw pictures. It's snowing like a madman out there. What the?
Man, yeah, I think it's like not a national emergency, but I mean, it's like a little regional, like they're like buckle up because you're not going anywhere for a while, kind of thing. So it's like
Yeah,
it's
my mom
good
is
to
up
have.
in the same area. She sent me a picture out of her place, and she's like, "Well, I guess I'm homebound for a little while because it's just dumping snow everywhere up there. This polar vortex and all this shit's pretty crazy."
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think next week it should lighten up a little bit, but I don't. Yeah, for the most part, man, we're snowed in,
Oh
man.
wow, yeah, and that doesn't happen very often there. But wow, yeah, I suppose you would get
It's
a
yeah,
whole.
that's more of a Midwest thing, and now yeah, like I said, I'm halfway between Seattle and Portland,
Yeah, it's. I mean, it
and
gets cold and it
it's
gets rainy, but not snow. Not like that.
not
That's pretty crazy. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, man. It's an amazing story you've got from start to not even the middle. You've still got a long way left to go, but to have started out the way that you did, and to have such an extraordinary beginning in the sport as young as you were, and to have the jump numbers that you were, and then obviously to have such a horrible accident, but to come back from it and do all the things that you've done since is just, it's a ridiculous story of how resilient not only human beings are, but you specifically. I mean, there aren't that many people that would be able to bounce back quite the way that you did. And between crediting you, crediting your father, and then, of course, the skydiving community for standing behind you and pushing you, man, you've had a hell of a ride. It's and I can't imagine what comes next for you. It's just got to be more of the same. You're not the type to just sit on the sidelines at all.
That's it, man. You nailed it on the head. I mean, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Just to recap, for sure, it's. I mean, you get into a devastating situation like maybe what happened to me, and don't look down too much because there's always something. If you push hard, something will happen. And for me, it was my father, it was the community, and I mean, I'm super grateful to be a part of the skydiving community. And I mean, there's always something to be done. I'm gonna find my way. I mean, I feel like I found my way, but I'm always kind of jumping around. Like it seems like I'm skydiving or I'm rigging or I'm doing this, inspirational speaking or things like that. And yeah, like you said, like I mean, I'll be around for a while, so
Absolutely. Well,
keep on
and
checking
you're
in.
not just inspiring people that are in similar situations to you. You're inspiring people just in general. Again, we hadn't even met, and I had seen that picture and was blown away by it. And it's that kind of thing that even if someone would never consider doing something like that, just knowing that it's possible is just an amazing thing. So believe me, you should be very proud of yourself. You've definitely inspired and pushed a lot of people to be more than they would have been, and that's pretty spectacular, man. It really is. Well, I'll
Thanks,
tell you
man.
what, man. It's been fantastic talking to you. We haven't talked in way too long, and hopefully we'll get to do it again real soon. Any last words? Anything you want people to know? Is there a website people should be checking out? Is there an Instagram or a Facebook you want them to go to?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a better job self-promoting myself a couple years ago, but yeah, you can still hit me up on Facebook. I'm hoping to have a website launched in the next couple days, summitparachutesystems.com. And yeah, just kind of look out there for some of my exploits. I'll be jumping here and there, and yeah, you'll find me at the drop zone.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, summitparachutesystems.com. That's what they're going to be looking for?
That's it, man. And it was good
Awesome.
talking to you, man. I miss you, and I hope we run into each other here sooner than later.
Oh, man, it's a small world and a smaller sport. You know damn well we will. More red wine and
Um,
jazz, right?
yeah, dude, let's take it back.
All right, brother. Blue skies, fantastic talking to you.
Take it easy, brother. We'll talk to you later.
Absolutely, we will. All right, folks, once again, Lunatic Fringe is brought to you in association with Blue Skies Magazine. You're going to want to go check them out, blueskiesmag.com, blueskiesmag.com. Lots of kick-ass swag. You can grab T-shirts and keychains and previously published magazines and all kinds of cool shit, so you're going to want to go check them out. As far as finding me, you can find me at The Princess Pilot on Instagram. The reason it's The Princess Pilot is because they don't like me saying fucking as much as I do. Also on Facebook, you can find me as, I run the Fucking Pilot page on Facebook, but it's the Effin Pilot, EFFIN Pilot. Again, they don't like me cussing so much. With all the fuckins, it's no G at the end of it. And of course, thefuckingpilot.net. You can pull that up and download this podcast or any of the others. Subscribe to them on iTunes, Podbean, CastBox, and a number of others. It's been great having you. We'll see you next time around on Lunatic Fringe. Blue skies.